The road has taken me to the village Menars in France, where I'm visiting the home of Karl and Ketty. They have been happily married for 42 years, but as post-war children of Karl's father, a German soldier, and Ketty's father, a French prisoner of war, their love has not always been acknowledged by their parents. This is the inspiring story of a love beyond borders, told by Karl and Ketty themselves.
Ketty and me, we met first time in '65, and I am German, and she is French, and our parents have fought during the war on different sides. Her father, he was imprisoned in Austria for 5 years, so of course he didn't like the German side too much.
My father was 2 years soldier,
Soldier.
and after 5 years prisoner.
He was imprisoned in Austria, and for 5 years, and 4 years of them he had a hard life in factories, road construction, and so. And the last year of it, he came onto a farm, and that was his profession. He was a farmer, and he liked the people where he were, and the people they were very good to him. So he came back. He had he always remembered the name and of the people and the name of the village. And in 1985, 40 years after the end of the war, we decided we must take him to that place where he has been. And then we went. And we had a meeting along the motorway with one of the boys, then boys, now old man. And very moving when both of them, my father-in-law, his forename is Armel, and when they met, they just embraced each other and cried and with emotion. And the Austrian said, "Armel, why did you wait 40 years to come back?" Well, and then we came into the village, and the whole village was a bit crazy. Armel is back, Armel is back. And so everybody wanted to see him. It was really nice, and I think this is one of the rare good aspects of war,
Yeah.
Friendship and so.
And my father could speak Austrian, German language.
Yeah.
After 40 years. He found the words.
Yeah.
It was very interesting for us.
That's a
Well,
good story.
and strangely, he wanted his daughters to learn German.
Yeah.
He insisted that they learn German.
When we were 10 years old.
And then, there were school exchanges. Our town here in France, Blois, is twinned with my town in Germany, which is called Waldshut. And there were school exchanges, and that's where we learned to know each other. She came at my high school because she was lodged with my neighbor, a girl. And we had to walk some 3 kilometers every day to go to school and 3 kilometers back. So we did it together, and that's why we got to learn. Not the first day.
It was a
it
flirt, comme on dit en anglais, flirt,
Yeah.
Flirt.
Yeah.
It was,
at the beginning.
Yeah. But how old were you back then?
I've been 18,
And I was 16.
16. Yes.
But there was no romance before many years later.
Well, then I sometimes I visited her in France, and she came to the German family too. So we met maybe once a year.
It's not really often.
And
No
because
mobile phone, no internet, nothing to just letters.
Yeah.
and I must say my idea was always to go out to Africa.
No, to
Africa. And
Ah, oui.
I was not sure whether this relationship was so strong to keep me from going, So I went. I went to Africa and I studied there, and we wrote letters, and all the time we thought it's still working, it's still okay,
but
But it lasted 4 years before we met each other again. She came to South Africa, and we saw everything is still fine. And then right away, when I finished my studies, I went to France. And I had no money to come back. So she paid me the money, the trip.
Oh.
And she was cross because I took the boat, which took a longer time than the plane, you know, and it was more expensive.
Ah.
So we decided to get married. And then her father, he wasn't very happy about that her daughter would get married to a
Karl as
German.
boyfriend was okay, but as husband it was no more okay.
And a month ago, before I came over, I still didn't know how my father-in-law would receive me, in peace or with a gun. But 1 month before I left, he wrote me a very, very nice letter about, that was war, it's not my fault, and he accepts me. So we got married, and for all the rest of his life, we got along very well, my father-in-law and me.
It looks like you get moved when you think about it.
Yes, because I understand it was difficult for him. I knew that you wrote letters, that you and my daughter were corresponding by letters. But I couldn't suppose that it would be serious. So when I learned that she wanted to marry you, it was a difficult shock for me to get over.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
You must understand.
It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
It's not your fault. It's not the fault of most of the German. Maybe there were as many faults on the French side. But I left, while I was imprisoned, I left the best years of my youth, my health, and my situation situation. And this is difficult to forget. Love has no frontiers.
Border?
No,
Border.
is that-
Border?
It's you who prove it. So the letter carries on. You must come without fear. You will be well received by us. I suffered a lot because I didn't have a son, and now I'm sure you will be the son which I didn't have. That's roughly all.
And then you've been living happily ever after.
Yes.
And you have
Like in the fairy tales, and they had many, many children, and they were happy all their life.
You got me crazy, hanging out of my window, imagining you and me, swimming in the big blue sea. You got me crazy, hanging out of my window, imagining you and me, swimming in the big blue sea.